Sometimes that is better.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Killjoy Jake podcast. This is episode 6, talking about cult horror movies with Jesse. How you doing, Jesse?
How you doing, guys?
Now, this is your second time on the Killjoy Jake podcast.
Very thankfully. Yeah.
We appreciate it, man. It's good stuff. I love doing shows with you. Now, real quickly, you run the Jesse Storytime Spectacular. Let's talk about that for a minute. What do you do over there?
Well, I think I mentioned last time I've been doing this Jesse's Gems series, and that's mostly movies I find that I don't usually think everybody else might know about, or if they do, they probably forgot about it a while ago or something. But they're always fun picks. Past two, I've done episodes with horror movies. And this time I have a fun one coming that's going to be for two of my favorite ultimate comedy movies.
Ooh, okay.
It'll be fun to kind of switch things up and kind of throw some humor at everybody and mess with everybody about everything. The only one I won't do yet is Scary Movie, because that deserves its own episode.
Oh yeah. There's a lot to talk about with that one.
Oh yeah.
Is that your favorite comedy? I'm just curious.
One of them, definitely.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I mean, I could quote that entire movie off my head.
Dude, it's so silly, it's so fun, and it's parodying scary movies. Like, hell yeah, of course I'm down for that.
I mean, I love The Ring. I'm a huge fan of that movie. Scared shitless leaving it. It's horrified my family with the 7 days messages. I cannot take The Ring seriously anymore after seeing Scary Movie 3 and just the stupid video that they do of like 45 seconds of it, and it just ruins everything about The Ring to me. And I'm like, oh my God, the whole Samar is not scary anymore to me.
I really relate to that big time, because I go back and I watch that first Scary Movie, and don't get me wrong, I love it, but like, you watch it and then you go back and watch Scream and you're like, wow, it makes it so much sillier. And like, I think that's why I've always been so against Scream getting too silly, because I'm like, I don't want it to turn into Scary Movie. I like both things, but neither of them need to turn into the other. You know what I mean? If Scary Movie comes out and gives us this like super dark and like serious plot line, you're gonna be disappointed. Like it's the same thing. I feel you there, man. I don't want Scream to get too silly. I don't want Scary Movie to get too serious. So let's keep them on their sides of the spectrum, right?
I was very happy that you really, really liked Triangle.
Dude, okay, like, I remember you told me, you're like, make sure you pay attention to everything. Like, literally, I was like, okay, I got that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, halfway through that, I'm like, I think I got this figured out. Okay, she's gonna get off the boat, and that's gonna be the end of it or something. No, it just keeps going. I'm like, I know I just spoiled that. I'm so sorry. But I had to talk to my friend Jesse about that. Way too exciting. So good.
I knew he would like this. I can't wait. And I ended up finding your thing on Patreon like a couple days after work.
Oh hell yeah, dude. I got a review of Cobweb coming out next. Did you see that one? Speaking of which,
I have not. What's it called? I'm actually about to go see Talk to Me.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you want to spoil anything small for me there, but I know that one's supposed to be really, really fun, and I'm hearing a lot of fun stuff. I thankfully have not gotten the movie spoiled, but I've gotten about half the movie spoiled for me, which I like, because then
you're okay with that
something and be like, okay, there's stuff I need to connect here. There's something fun.
Dude, I think you'll really like it. It's I had a blast with it personally. It's a lot of fun, but it's also really scary, which I really like those two things coming together. So it's a good one. You'll enjoy it. So I'm excited, man. You got to give me the full review next time. I got to know what you think of it, dude.
I'll definitely hand it in.
Hell yeah, dude. But watch, okay, I'm sorry, one more thing. Watch Cobweb too, if you get the chance. It's only like $6 on YouTube, dude, and I'm blown away by it. Like, genuinely, I was like, okay, this is a super solid horror movie that flew under the radar this year.
Wasn't this a Seth Rogen movie or something like that?
Yeah, he produced it. And I'm trying to think, like, all of his like actors that are in a bunch of his other shows that he produces, like Anthony Starr from The Boys is in it. Lizzie Kaplan, like he's worked with her on like The Interview. It's a bunch of like Seth Rogen people that are all in this, and I don't know, it's just a really cool little horror movie. So it's good shit. Very good stuff, Jesse. Hell yeah. Well, today we're talking a little bit about cult horror movies, specifically about not ones that are underground, ones about people coming together and forming a cult and doing some weird, creepy shit in the woods for the most part. Now, Jesse, I gotta ask. This is your idea to bring this topic to the podcast. What is your big draw to cult themed horror movies?
Originally, it was probably kind of a joke between some friends in middle school or something when we were kidding around, and everybody was kidding around with me because I'm the weird guy who likes horror movies and stuff. So they were all kidding with me like, dude, you're gonna totally start a cult.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks guys. Like, really appreciate the weirdness here.
It's like, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Jeez.
I don't know, man. I was just like, okay, thanks. Maybe I'll freak a bunch of people out with some Kool-Aid later. I don't know, but
as long as it tastes good, you know. I love cult movies as well. I really do, and I love the selection that you wanted to bring up for today's podcast too, man. Oh my god, like starting off with The Wicker Man. The original 73 one versus like the remake. Now you said you watched both of them. Which one do you think you kind of like more?
I gotta appreciate some of what the remake did, but the old one, the cult was a little creepier in that one. Just routing back for a second, I think one of the best things that sort of got me into cult stuff would probably be Children of the Corn reading the book.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that is a cult. It's a cult of kids taking over a town.
I always found that totally creepy that a whole bunch of kids just randomly at like 12 started this creep ass cult in the middle of nowhere.
So you said you read the book. Do you prefer the book over the movie though?
I do, because honestly, I've seen too many remakes of the movie now, and it feels a little like you guys are just hammering this thing down too much. Just give us something fun, something new.
How about that remake from this past year, huh?
That one was just like, I could barely sit through the whole thing, man. I was just upset.
You're just so upset, but you're like, I can't even watch this. What is this, man? Come on. I don't know what the hell was going on in that movie though, but I've always enjoyed the first one. I do agree. I think the original book's just a little better. The movie's fine. You know, it's fine. It's a solid adaptation. It's not. I wouldn't give it any more praise than that.
And like, I gotta admit, I think Children of the Corn 3 or 4 has this really weird thing in it with a sliding door that just creeped me out. Like, whoa.
A sliding door.
I'm about to go make some food and I don't want to see the sliding door.
I don't remember anything about a sliding door. I remember in 3 there's like the corn monster or whatever that's like ridiculous. That's Screaming Mad George that did the effects in that. If you've ever seen Society, like that's like all him making all those weird puppets and stuff. Am I speaking a foreign language to you?
No, not really. It's just I haven't watched all of Society. I remember like 2 episodes of it.
Oh no, I'm talking about the movie. You ever see the movie called Society?
I used to work at Blockbuster, and that name comes up.
Whoa, you used to work? Oh, okay. Pause. You used to work at Blockbuster? That's awesome, dude.
Dude, totally. And I still have like one of these things from like an employee. I still have like old name tags. We printed out old random names, like somebody put one, we did girls' names one day. It says Teresa. Where did this come from, man? But
who's Teresa?
Blockbuster comeback.
Oh, dude, for real, man. They're trying to bring it back and all that. I'm like, let's do it, man. Screw Netflix. I want to go to the movie store again and pick up something, you know? Can you imagine what Blockbuster would look like today with like all the movies we have that come out? You know, it would almost be overwhelming.
It'd still be so fun to just like check out the back of the movies and everything and run around the store.
It's just not the same with streaming, you know. There's just something magic about going to a video store and like reading the back of it and being like, "Oh, this is weird. I've never heard of this crazy movie," and then taking it home and watching it. I love that. I did that all the time when I was a kid, and I miss it. I miss it dearly. If I could go back and live in the 90s, I would just work at Blockbuster. That's all I would do. Wicker Man 1973 though. This is a like monumental cult movie. It's super weird. It's like kind of a farce. It's almost a little silly, but it's so creepy because of the ending and the basically the ultimate ending for our main character. How do you feel about the build up to this movie because it is a little goofy and silly with how the cult is like fucking with them a little bit. How do you feel about like the antics of this crazy island town?
It bugged me out a little bit when, like, all right, he finally gets through to whatever her name is. You know, I think it's Willow, and it's who they claim is the mom Willow of Willow, which is weird, but I don't know. Whole thing was creepy with the inbreeding stuff anyway. I remember specifically right in the middle of the film, they give that little thing to Nicolas Cage in the remake, and it was much creepier in the old one, but it still stuck with me on this one. Like, I forgot he's tied into this whole thing because of the ending we get with the birdie. Yeah.
What an upsetting ending too in that original when he's like just screaming and the thing's on fire. It's like, oh my god. I would have said this many times, but I just think the Wicker Man 73, like the performance from Christopher Lee especially who's like what's his name, like something Samurai, like Mr. Samurai or whatever, he's like the leader of the island. That is like he just gives this like horrifying performance. He's got this charisma and this confidence, and but they're doing this awful horrifying thing, and it's like, well, we gotta make sure our crops grow next year and all that. What does Nick Cage say in the remake? I'm not gonna this isn't gonna bring your corn back or whatever. He says something like crazy in the middle of that one. So you like the remake though, because this remake gets shit on a lot.
I mean, it was fun. Just I probably liked it for nerdism of Nicolas Cage being the actual dude in it, but I do agree that in the old one, the cult was way creepier. It just really hit home.
The other thing I'll say about the remake too is that I feel like this is a tough film to remake. Like, it's got a very specific style of camp to it that is kind of hard to recreate, because there is like a very like deep and sinister undertone to it, but at the same time, surface level, it's very goofy and like kind of a farce. But in The Wicker Man 2006, you have Nick Cage going full Cage, being like insane, and it's almost too much at points. So I get why people aren't crazy about it, but it's responsible for some of the best, most meme-worthy moments in cinema history, with the not the bees deleted scene, of course. But then you also have this scene in the movie where he like picks up a little girl and shakes her and says, "Don't be frightened," or whatever. It's like, what?
I have to admit, I kind of can see some earliness of his freak outness in Mandy from this movie. Maybe he was holding a little bit back for us, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, when he's in the bathroom in Mandy and he's just like losing his shit, it's like, oh, fuck.
He's completely like, I mean, he just swigs the alcohol. Like, I can't even think of like how horrible that is.
Mandy is another upsetting watch, me and Jesse decided this is a cult horror movie. It is basically a cult film. Is this one of your favorite Nick Cage movies? Is that
Mandy is definitely one of my big Nick Cage movies. I mean, everything you want from Nick Cage is in this movie. Plus you get a crazy drug-fueled cult. And strangely, of course, from my stupid raver history, I'll give it up. Yes, I could probably name you every single drug going on in the whole thing. And no, a lot of that acid ain't real acid. I was wondering if I do have an open-ended question for everyone, is if you know what the heck the scorpion or whatever the heck that bug thing was that they hit her with after they gave her some drugs or something, I would love to know what the heck that is, because it just weirded me out.
It really scares you with visuals, I think, at certain times. Like, there's an unbroken take of the one like cult leader guy just looking right into the camera saying all this super scary shit to Mandy, but because of how it's framed, it's like he's literally looking right into the camera, the whole time. And that's just, it's so upsetting, man. It's one of those, like, you got to watch it like a little baked. How do you feel about the trippy angle about Mandy, I guess is what I'm getting at?
I like the whole thing. Like, I thought it was great that they were trying to show it from the first person view for some of it, knowing what that's like also is hilarious for somebody. I don't know what kind of crazy speed drugs, whatever he lands with the bikers later in the movie, but I don't even know what that was.
They're like making up drugs in the movie. You know, it almost feels like like a bad trip. I love that. I love that feeling about that movie. It's so I don't know. There's something so scary about that on a psychological level as well. I think the pretty colors juxtaposed with like the awful shit happening on screen is also like a gorgeous thing about that movie. The performances are great too, not only from Nicolas Cage. But I can't remember Mandy's actress, but Richard Brake is great in more of a limited role, admittedly, but still fantastic. You really like the performances and like the cast here too?
Oh, yeah. The cast was great. I'd honestly like to get some of the names from the other ones. I mean, they were fantastic in the cast. Like, it wasn't all just him. I'd say the cult leader, like you were saying, and probably one of his prophets. They both had those creepy eye looks going on to the camera, and it definitely felt very creepy cult-like.
It's crazy. It's one of those things where it's just like I can't believe this is even happening over something like so little. Like you just Caesar on the side of the road, pretty much.
Yeah. That's it.
It leads to this whole awful downfall of these terrible characters. But I couldn't agree more. I think Jeremiah, the cult leader, played by Linus Roach, is phenomenal. Andrea Riceborough, once again, more of a limited role as Mandy, but she still kicks ass. She's so good in everything she's in, if it's this or Possessor.
Awesome,
oh, yeah.
A lot of other people might not know this movie, but The Sacrament was a lot of fun to mess with. And the whole cult thing from that was just so nuts.
Yeah, you know, everyone knows Ty from, you know, like Pearl and X and all that. These are newer movies and, you know, great movies, don't get me wrong, but you got to go back and watch some of his older catalog shit because like The Sacrament, House of the Devil, The Innkeepers, all great movies too.
House of the Devil takes a crazy turn on you.
Dude, oh my God. Like I'm not, without spoiling anything, when the girl gets shot, I'm just like, whoa, oh, holy fuck. It's so shocking, you know?
Even if that movie is slow, I promise you that ending will make up for it.
Just get through it, man. Just just get through. I couldn't say that more about that movie. Just get through it. Also kind of a cult movie. Tell me more about The Sacrament, though. I got a little off track with the Ty West stuff. I get all excited when I talk about one of my favorite directors there.
Sacrament was really cool because it was like, you know, you see everything from first person view, obviously, with, you know, found footage movies, but they don't really tell you that this feels like you're going into something in history. Like I had no idea when I first watched this film at all that this was even connected to the whole Jim Jones mirroring this cult that he's showing in the film, just how insane they really make it. They're to randomly go to this crazy compound where your sister lives and everybody acts really off.
It's odd because like I feel like the first half of the movie is like, yeah, you know, everyone's acting a little strange and like it's just a weird situation, but then you meet up with people who give you like a pretty good why they're involved in this situation. You know, he like picked up people who were struggling out in the real world and now they're thriving here, but you know, you soon learn that's not really the case. But that's crucial to that movie and why it works so well is because you get the like the arguments on both sides. You're never 100% sure about what's going on until like the scene at the end.
Like the last 30 minutes, just everything goes nuts. You really aren't sure what's going to happen until it just happens and everything takes off.
John Goodman as the cult leader is just phenomenal in that movie, I think. Like he sells it big time. He has this like super big and charismatic personality. He kind of talks like an evangelist and all that, and he's so convincing. He's got this magnetism to him. They couldn't have casted that role better, I don't think. I think he's just phenomenal. It's one of my favorite performances from him in a horror movie, maybe besides like 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is oddly a similar role.
That was creepy. Seeing him in a different light kind of thing. Oh, have you seen Red State?
Red State is no, I don't think I have.
That had John Goodman as a cop on the other end in that movie. But that movie was literally about a cult. They're coming into the FBI's like coming in to get their compound. You would really enjoy the trickery that they use in it too. It's kind of funny how they sort of use some social media stuff in that movie.
I'll look into it. Red State.
Yeah, Red State. You would like that one. Now it's a cult one. There's part of the cult that's like, we don't want to be a part of this war stuff. You know, obviously there's innocent people in cults. It just goes nuts. And it's a lot of fun. You think just one little thing is going to something crazy, but it's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
It's like Mandy, it keeps going.
It just doesn't stop. Yeah. I love that about Mandy. I love that about the end. Like the Sacrament is another one where it's like a little slow, but as it builds, it just gets like the tension rises. The ending is so upsetting. Real quickly, hitting back to the Sacrament, how do you feel about like the ending, like the Kool-Aid essentially in that movie?
I loved it just because they made it so real looking. I mean, it was sad, obviously, that happens. We're in a T.I. West movie. I don't think everything's going to be perfect, peachy and happy.
It's so real. Like I love that. I love that you said that, because I think it's just like it feels so real. You see like people like crying and freaking out, but like they have to do it, and it's just like, yeah.
I think some of them do it at different times too. So like they start to have to see the first wave of people dying on them, and they're like still being told like, if you don't drink the Kool-Aid, you're not going.
I really enjoyed that one. So real quickly, just going over some of the movies we've already talked about. Wicker Man, 73 out of 10. What do you give that one?
Gotta give that one around probably about 7.5 to 8 for me. I mean, it's a classic, I know that, but it's just how much did it get me? You know what I mean?
It takes a minute to get to where you're going, with that one too. And then the remake, how does that one fare for you?
Give it about a 6.
A 6? Okay.
Maybe 6.5 or something if I have to be picky, but I just wanted to see a little bit more of the cult.
I wanted that. I almost feel like Nicolas Cage could almost be, maybe get back in the cage a little more. not full cage, okay. Whoa, okay, Nick, back it up a little bit. There are times where I feel like he's just too much. He's supposed to be the foil in the situation, and he's kind of one of the proponents of the absurdity, which is odd about that movie. But I still vibe with it. It's still very fun. It works much more in Mandy, though, in my opinion. What do you think you would give that one out of 10?
Mandy, definitely like a 9. I don't think anybody could really honestly know what's gonna happen in that movie. Even if you just think revenge or something, it's not gonna go down however you think it's gonna go down.
It's a trippy one. It truly leaves you guessing because of how weird it is. It's a simple premise. It's just a revenge story, but where it goes, how stylistic it's filmed and all that, that's the shocking and surprising part about watching that, I think. And that's what's great about it. It's a near masterpiece in my opinion. I really enjoy it. Now, The Sacrament. This is what you were telling me was your favorite a minute ago.
Oh yeah. The Sacrament, I feel like kind of opened me up to a whole lot of cool found footage movies that I'd never heard of or anything. Kind of opened that window for me, because before that I was probably just scratching the surface with like Paranormal Activity things, kind of more commercial movies, and that one kind of helped me run down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I got you. So what do you give that one out of 10 though?
I want to say about an 8. I like that he gives just enough to keep moving in it, but there are parts where people are just kind of like, is this going somewhere yet?
It's a slower burn, but that ending's worth every minute. It's worth all the setup, and it's all so crucial. I totally agree. I'm going to be honest, Jesse. I think it would be kind of a miss of us if we didn't mention Hereditary or Midsommar on this podcast.
I mean, it would be a crime.
It would be a true crime against the horror community, I think. So, give me your thoughts first on Ari Aster's feature directorial debut, Hereditary.
Upon first watching that movie, I really probably didn't understand everything going on. You kind of pick up more little pieces of it, and everything sort of comes together for you. I got the basicness of it on the first watch, but some of me was just sort of focused on the shock of the little girl in the movie. There's a lot of talking for probably slow burnish on some parts, but I mean, all of that comes together. There's parts of it where I'm feeling like it's dragging, but it's really giving you every little details you need to know.
The entire movie itself is a family drama at its core, but you have these other horrifying things going on that are completely out of the family's control, which is what makes it this horrifying thriller, like especially in the ending. I totally agree with you as well on not getting everything on the first time, because there's so many like little details, like things you have to read like this, like so fast, that you weren't able to do in the theater. Like I remember watching it when it came out on like 4K or whatever, and I paused it like it's so many different scenes just to read shit, because I'm like, what is like I need to know more about what's going on here.
Like I had to look up some of the gods and stuff like that. And
Paimon or whatever.
Because they do like a 15-second clip of that, and then you're like, what? What was the name?
Another thing too to throw out there is that the very beginning of the film, like when they're at the funeral for the grandma, what is so amazing about that is when you rewatch it, all of the people there are all the naked people at the end of the film. Who even pays attention to details like that? Like that's fucking crazy. It's one of the most rewatchable movies ever, in my opinion. I think there's so many little fun Easter eggs to catch.
It really is. In that funeral scene, so much of that lore is given to you, and you probably just are totally not noticing it whatsoever until you have to rewatch the movie.
To lose your mom and then come home and like see her ghost standing in a dark corner, like there's something so like what a way to set up your horror film. You know what I mean? You get to see all these pictures of her, so like you know exactly what she looks like, and then you like see her standing in that corner, and that it's so upsetting. It's such a creepy way to start the movie. You know something's wrong immediately, and then what ends up happening to Charlie about 20 minutes later is like, holy fuck, like where is this going? I truly had like first 30 minutes of that, I really had no idea what the fuck I was in for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was just, somebody had told me something, dude, when you watch that movie, watch out for the scene with the girl. I saw him the next day and I was like,
dude, it's so upsetting. And like the guy just goes to bed. Like he just wants to like pretend like it just didn't happen, like that's so fucking upsetting. Ugh.
He has like no reaction face to anything.
Even though like it is a little absurd, there's so much reality in the situation, and that's why I buy it. Like on paper, yeah, it's like it's crazy, it's a ridiculous situation, but because of how they handle it, I'm like, I totally buy this. Toni Collette's performance when she finds, like, it's just audio. You just hear her finding her daughter dead in the fucking car, and it's like, oh my god, like her wailing on the ground and shit. It's just so gross and upsetting. It's like, this is like the worst situation imaginable. Jesse, I gotta ask you this, because this is something I see a lot. A big criticism of the movie is that people don't like the ending. What's your feeling on the Hereditary's like final act?
I feel like people definitely need to pay attention to some detail so that when you do go back and sleuth around about, you'll kind of understand the paradox going on there. Obviously, the family history is gonna connect a lot better for you once you do. That last scene is gonna really kind of whoa you, so you're gonna need to rewatch.
So talking about his next movie though, Midsummer, what are your overall thoughts on this movie?
I absolutely love. I honestly don't think most of the movie gets understood in some sense. Some of it's trauma-based, really like messed up. As much as they want to play with you and have fun with you about they're there taking drugs, kind of don't see that the cult gets weirder. That one really stuck with me. I could rewatch it and I want to show it to people. I know you've said that before in your videos. Like I want to show people an A24 movie. That's the first one that comes up.
I always say that because I feel like it's the most like digestible of the big like A24 horror movies. Like if you throw The Witch on for someone who has never seen a movie like that, they're gonna be so turned off to it. The Witch is like this slow burn movie that like just takes its time. Your characters are speaking in a dialect. It's too much to be thrown into that immediately. But with something like Midsummer, it's more relatable characters that are like of the time and all that, but they're going through like something that's unimaginable. Like it's supposed to be this nice vacation, and instead it's one of the most horrifying things I've ever watched, especially with how the movie starts off to where it ends. Oh my god, that opening was just immediately upsetting.
I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but let's just say I guess she finds what she wanted.
Is it a happy ending? It's arguable.
It's my kind of happy ending.
Hell yeah, man. Jesse, if you had to pick one of them over the other, what would be your like number one from Ari Aster?
I'd probably say Midsommar, just because it's easier to follow. It's hard to say that between that and Hereditary because there's more on screen and some of that's actually cultural. Most people would be able to digest like that.
Hell yeah, man. Good shit, good shit. Well, everyone go subscribe to Jesse's channel. Once again, that's in the link. There will be a link for it in the description of this video. So go subscribe to Jesse. Jesse, do you got anything else you want to say before we wrap up this podcast?
You guys, check out some of the movies we've listed off here if you haven't. If it makes it easier for you, check out the company A24 because a lot of those fell under that company. Check out Mandy. Start your own cult. Jesse's Storytime wants you to. Come on, get out there and make some freaky Kool-Aid.
Everyone's got to drink some Kool-Aid at one point or the other.
I want to drink that sacrament Kool-Aid. Come on, dude. Let's do it.
Creepy cults in the corn. That's what it's all about around here. And drinking some nasty Kool-Aid. I love it, Jesse. Good stuff, man. Well, once again, Jesse, thank you for joining me for another podcast. Always great talking with you.
It's tons of fun, man. I'm happy to be here. And thank you so much for having me, man.
Of course, dude. I always appreciate you coming on, man. Good stuff, good stuff. Well, thank you all again for watching. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all. Peace.